Welcome to Sincerely Me, a podcast about self-discovery and inner work so you can cultivate a deeper relationship with yourself and show up more fully in your work and life. My name is Tallia and I'm honored to be your host. Hi everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Today is a short and sweet solo episode on getting off the bench. And if you don't yet know what the heck I'm talking about, no worries, I'm going to tell you. So on Monday, I had a call with a coach of mine because yes, coaches also have coaches. And we were talking a little bit about my work and the inner circle and the content I put out through my Instagram and the podcast. And she was trying to get me to really hone in on who exactly I want to be speaking to. And through some brainstorming and creative ideas, we landed on this one phrase, which was the self-imposed benchwarmer. And I shared a little bit about this on Instagram on Monday, and so many of you reached out and were like, oh my gosh, yes, that's me. I'm that girl. I'm the girl sitting on the sidelines, sitting on the bench, and waiting for permission to get up and play a bigger game. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about getting off the bench and playing a bigger game. And of course, again, this is metaphorical. I am not in any way here to talk about sports. I don't even know what sports have benches. I don't even know if sidelines are a thing in every sport. I know they're a thing in some sports. My husband would be so embarrassed at all of the things coming out of my mouth right now, but he's probably not listening. So here we are, getting off the bench. So who is the self-imposed benchwarmer? The self-imposed benchwarmer is the woman who is playing small. She's watching the big game happen. She really wants to be in the game, but she is holding herself back. She's waiting for permission to stand up. She's waiting for permission to speak up. She's waiting for permission from somebody else to stop playing small. And one thing that I recently realized as I've been reading through applications for the Inner Work Circle is that a lot of what I've been talking about on the podcast and even as a part of this group was authenticity, showing up as your full authentic self. But I'm realizing that it's so much more than authenticity. It's about being ready to stop playing small and start showing up in a bigger way. It's about no longer having a voice too quiet or a feeling of insignificance. It's about not being afraid of making other people uncomfortable if you were to actually take up some space. And it's about knowing that if there's ever a time to share your light with the world, to get off that bench, it's now. And what I've seen is that when we decide to stop playing small, and again, to use this metaphor, get off the bench, beautiful things can happen. You finally ask for that raise, you speak up in that meeting, you apply for that program, you take the day off, you start that business, you invest in yourself, you have that one difficult conversation, you send that one email you've been waiting to send, you let go of old patterns, you pitch your service, you quit your job, you go to that dance class, you ask for help, you share your dream, you say yes to yourself. And I know this because over the past 6 years as a coach, I've witnessed the most beautiful transformations happen when we as women decide to get out of our own way. And I'm not going to lie, it requires discomfort. It requires the shedding of a few layers. It requires getting to know yourself. It requires a willingness to get real with other people. So yeah, a part of the work is about authenticity, but a bigger part of it is making the decision to commit and play a bigger game. So when we think about the benchwarmer, the self-imposed benchwarmer, I want to talk a little bit about what's getting in her way, what's keeping her on that bench. And of course, it's belief. Limiting beliefs, narratives, stories, assumptions, mindset. All of our control stems from the thoughts that we think. And that's exactly where we forget we have power. We have the power to choose what we think about ourselves, about the certain situations we're in, about the circumstances we face in life. But what tends to happen is that we assume certain things about other people. We make judgments on their judgments. I know this is getting a little meta, but we'll say things to ourselves like, no one values me, no one appreciates me, no one knows what I'm capable of, no one sees me as who I am. When really it's that you don't value yourself, you don't appreciate yourself, you don't see yourself in the way you want to be. And we're so much quicker to kind of push these assumptions and judgments onto other people when really they're just judgments we have about ourselves. So if you're finding yourself caught up in these stories and narratives about other people and what other people think, replace that person's name with your own name in that sentence and take responsibility. Hold yourself accountable. You cannot control what other people think. You have no idea what's going on in their minds. 99% of the time, their reactions, their responses have nothing to do with you. So put yourself back in that driver's seat and ask yourself how you feel about yourself. Where do you find your own sense of value and worth? If you can't answer those questions for yourself, you're a lot more likely to assume people will be misjudging or misreading your value, your contribution, and who you are. Now, something else that's interesting that happens in the scenarios. Let's say we are actually in a basketball game situation and you are on the bench and you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're valuable. You don't think you're capable of getting up and playing a good game. If and when someone gives you the permission you're looking for and says, hey, Tallia, you're up. It's time to get up. You will not see that as proof that you're actually good enough. You will see that as a way to validate your own lack of self-belief. So you'll take that request to get up and play or that permission and say, oh, well, I'm only being asked because they feel bad for me. Or, oh, I'm only being asked because everyone else is injured. Oh, well, I'm only being asked because, if they don't put me in the game now, then my mom or my partner or my whoever is going to get mad and say something. We deflect and we look for proof. Again, we're validating our own existing narratives instead of taking that as proof for the opposite narrative, which is you are good enough. Other people do see your value. You're a perfectly contributing member of this team. So that's a dangerous and slippery slope for a lot of us because there are so many signs out there that point to the opposite thing that we feel about ourselves, but we only find what we're looking for. So look for the opposite. Instead of looking for the thing that's keeping you down, that's keeping you on the bench, that's perpetuating your pattern of playing small, look for something else. Look for different evidence and create a new pattern. Create a pattern that's actually going to help you take the actions you want to take, do the things you want to do, say the things you want to say, be the person that you want to be. A couple other things that keep us sitting on the bench. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of making other people uncomfortable, fear of uncertainty, fear of change, comfort. We are creatures of habit, self-doubt. Again, the stories we tell, the stories we make up, the assumptions we're making. Remember that you have the power to choose the story. Tell a new story. If the story you're telling yourself is not working, realize that A, it's a story. B, you can write a new story tomorrow. So what are the facts? What's the situation you're working with? And what's a better story to tell that actually feels good to you? It is all the ball. To keep going with this metaphor, the ball is literally in your court. And then when it comes to the assumptions we're making, all you have to ask yourself, and you know this because you've heard it from me before, is whether or not what you're thinking is based in fact. Is it based in fact or is it based in fear? Is it true? Can you prove it in the court of law? Yes or no? If not, what is actually true instead? By standing in your truth, by speaking your truth, by knowing what is true for you, that is authenticity. That is showing up fully. That is committing to playing a bigger game. Something else to note too is for a lot of us, we'll listen to podcasts like these, we'll read content, we'll have conversations that make us realize, holy crap, that is me. I am the one playing small. I am the one on the bench. I am the self-imposed bench warmer. The important part is that you don't start judging yourself for it, right? because that's only going to perpetuate that self-criticism and that negative story you're telling yourself about yourself. All you have to do is take a step back, observe the situation, and say, okay, there are clearly parts of me that need attention. What parts of me need attention? What should I start paying attention to differently? Knowing that, again, you get to choose where your attention goes. And by changing your perspective, by shifting your mindset, you literally get to create a new reality for yourself. That is just one of the most powerful things that we have the ability to do that we don't recognize we have the power to do. So the last thing I'll wrap up with here are the 4 things I believe we need to get up, to get off the bench and to show up in the way we want to actually show up. The first is self-belief. You have to believe in yourself. You have to know that what you want is possible. The second is a vision. You have to be able to create a sense of certainty and stability in your mind with a vision so that the uncertainty and the fears that come with not knowing what could happen kind of fall to the wayside. So how do you create a vision for yourself that's so vivid, so clear, so specific of you, a day in the life, playing big, showing up fully, being authentic, doing the things that you know you want, stepping into your power? What does that look like? Answer that question. What does that look like? Write it down on paper. What does it feel like? Write it down on paper. Create certainty, create a sense of stability, create your own blanket that you can find comfort in when we're a lot more likely to sit in the gray area filled with doubt, the question marks, the not knowing. So the first was self-belief. The second is a vision, clear vision. The third is desire. We have to let ourselves want more for ourselves. It's okay to want more for yourself. So it's giving yourself that permission to have desires, to want more, and to know that by the very nature of knowing to want it, it is possible. If it weren't possible, you wouldn't know to want it. There would be no desire for you. And then the fourth one, feeling like you are deserving of what it is that you actually want. Those are the 4 things. I'll say them one more time. Number 1, self-belief and confidence. Number 2, vision and clarity. Number 3, desire and possibility. Number 4, deservedness and a sense of worth. Without self-belief, without the vision, without giving yourself permission to want things and have desires, without feeling like you deserve what you want, you're not going to get up. You're not going to get up. So that's where the work happens. That's where the inner work happens. And that is what the inner work circle is all about. It's a year-long process that helps people build these 4 pillars up for themselves, move through the things holding them back, create new patterns of thought, shift their mindset so they can create the reality that they want, knowing that it's possible, knowing they deserve it, knowing that desire is at the root of creation and inspiration and fulfillment. So, all of that to say, if you're ready to get up, get off that bench, now is the time. You getting up, getting off the bench is also about something so much bigger than just you. You getting up helps other people know that it's possible. You getting up helps your team that's trying to win the game, right? You getting up helps other women. You elevating yourself elevates us as women. It's not about you. That's the whole point in all of this. It's not about you at all. So if you can just pick yourself up out of the way and move forward on a path with clarity and confidence, that is your responsibility. And if you are here to do that for yourself, you are responding to one of the highest calls that we as humans are presented with. And that is the end of my TED Talk. All right. So last but not least, if this is work that you want to be held accountable to, if you want to find yourself a part of a group of women who are also doing this work, check out the Inner Work Circle. It will force you to play big. It will force you to get off the bench. When we have the option not to, we are so much more likely to stay in comfort, because why put ourselves in situations of discomfort? Well, We know why, because it leads to transformation and it leads to growth. But until we're forced to do it, until we're invested in it, until we're committed to it, until we're held accountable with other people to doing this work, it's not likely that we'll do it. So if you feel called to finally get off the bench, just a few more spots are open in the Inner Work Circle. This Friday, July 19th, is the early application deadline. So even if you're not quite sure about it, I would encourage you to at least get your application in before the deadline so you can qualify for some of the extra goodies and private coaching sessions and get in on all the fun. I will, of course, link the Inner Work Circle in the show notes for you. If you have any questions about it, if you're not sure about it, if you're a little bit scared, if you're nervous about doing this work, that is okay. I read through an application yesterday from someone who said, me feeling scared and me being nervous is exactly what I need to be feeling to know that this is the right thing for me to do right now. We can't wait to not be afraid, because there will always be something. There will always be fear in some way. It's about learning to move with the fear, regardless of the fear, and knowing to listen to that, knowing to listen to the nerves. Why am I nervous? I'm nervous because I know something big's about to change for me. Change is scary, but change is good. Change is necessary. And what better way to go through that process of transformation and growth than in a safe space, in a group of women who are also doing that same work. All right, I'm stepping off of the soapbox and letting you go off into your beautiful day. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for your feedback on Instagram. Thank you for sharing that this self-imposed bench warmer idea resonated with you. I was excited to share a little bit more about it and continue to offer tidbits that might help you get the heck up, woman. You can reach me on Instagram at Tallia Del Jus and shoot us an email. Thoughts, questions, letters you write to yourself, anything else at sincerelymepodcast@gmail.com. To playing the big game, sincerely, me.